All right, 7 o'clock. So it's Thursday, April 18th, 2024, Nottingham, New Hampshire Budget Committee meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone. If you haven't signed in, if you could please sign in at the little table in the back. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag's right behind us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to our new members, Danielle, Jillian, Donna, Jeff. Congratulations, got elected again. That's everybody. Normally, Tim Dabrio will be our budget, or not our budget, Board of Selectmen rep, but we have the estimable John Moore tonight. Thanks everybody for that's interested in a seat on the board too. It's a lot of work, so thanks for your interest and for coming out tonight. What we'll do, we better do our introductions first before I get off track. So Sandra, would you start?
Sandra Jones.
Robert Kelly.
Charlotte Fife.
John Moore.
Michael Kelly.
Owen Frank Gray.
Donna Danis.
Jeffrey Morrison.
Jill Eldridge. Danielle Roy.
If it's okay with the board, I'd like to make a motion. Can we move the approval of meeting minutes down to, I don't know, maybe between items 6 and 7? That way we can.
Yeah.
You need a
second
motion,
over
so
here.
moved.
Motion moved, seconded by
Right here.
Jeff Morrison. All right, so we'll,
All those in favor?
all those in favor of moving the minutes?
Unanimous.
All opposed? None. All right. So selection of a new member is what we'll ask you guys if you could come up to the mic. It's not for us in the room, it's for everybody watching at home and for our note taker. Maybe talk about 3 to 5 minutes of why you'd like to serve on the budget committee. It doesn't have to be polished, we're pretty relaxed. There'll be a little back and forth, we can ask you some questions. So yeah, why you're qualified, why you'd like to serve. And just say, one of our big concerns is attendance, so that, make sure that you'll be able to make all the meetings. We meet about 16 times a year. We start in September. I think we have 1 meeting in September, 2 in October, and it's pretty much every week, November and December. There's a couple meetings Tuesday and Thursday. A couple weeks where we meet both Tuesday and Thursday. So that's our schedule. Before you come up though, we need to decide, since there's 4 potential candidates, how we're going to select them. There's no real guidelines from New Hampshire Municipal, about how we do it. So I don't know if anybody on the board has a suggestion, other than like a cage match or arm wrestling or something, but what do you think, Sandra?
I suggest we start by going around like we did last year when we
Yep.
had and each one votes. And since we have a variety of people, if no one gets a clear majority, then the 2 highest do a vote off
Okay, until we have a majority of the board.
until we have it, yeah. Then when we're having 2 and 2, then there'll clearly be a majority. one would hope.
If you could come up to the mic, and then you'll have to say your name and address, and then you could speak up.
Kevin Murphy, 7 Oak Ridge Road. I was highly interested in this position, if no one was really interested in doing it, just because I just felt my background was proper enough for it, but to be honest with you, it was more or less I was willing to step up if no one in the community was going to do it. But it seems like there's a good variety of people here who are also interested, but I just think at this time, to save you the hassle of trying to figure out how to vote on 4, maybe I'll step aside so you can make it easier for 3.
Okay.
Thank you.
I feel comfortable doing that. That's just,
Thank you, Kevin.
yeah, but it's also just, that's sort of was my intention coming into it and why kind of go through it if that's not it, so.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you very much.
Okay, well, that's all
So
set.
my question is, so we just kind of like a little more clarity around what Sandra just suggested, which I think is the right way, but so they're gonna give a 3-minute or whatever speech,
Yep.
talk, and then Sandra said we'll each go around and vote. We'll have an opportunity to ask questions. Are we going to, deliberate before we vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just want to be clear on that.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. It's too
Are
bad.
we
that-
deliberating to get down to 2 candidates?
No, I think, just for the people
Open
on.
discussion.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly, yeah. Not to be here until 10 o'clock debating.
About 1.
We can do that.
Done both.
12:30 is the latest I'm going.
All right.
Okay, is that, everybody clear on the process?
Thank you.
All right, so whoever, all right,
Bible first time I have to leave at 7:25. Thanks, I appreciate that. Good evening, I'm Maureen Campiola, 5 Guerrier Drive.
hi Maureen.
Hi. I know a lot of you on this board already, so. So I put my name forth because I had heard in the community that nobody was interested in sitting on the Budget Committee, and I'll just give you a little brief rundown of my experience. I spent 25 years working with budgets. My largest budget that I ever worked on, and that was for about 8 years, was $21 million. So I'm pretty adept at budgeting, reading between the lines. And I also have grant writing experience. I worked on budgets at both the state level and in the private sector. I have served in Nottingham's community in both the CIP and in the Schools Facilities Committee, so I'm familiar with what's going on basically in town. I supported the adequacy funding for the school, which I wanted to make sure I brought forward because I think that that was a kind of a misunderstood piece of budgeting that got brought forth, and I was in support of that. I consider myself a pretty creative problem solver, and I think that it's kind of needed right now. There's a lot of problems in Nottingham. There's a lot of frustrated taxpayers, and there's just a lot of frustration and anger in the community. And if you were to select me, I think that my ability to look at things in a different way and my experience could be helpful in Nottingham. So, and I sent you guys something, so I don't know if you read that or not. But basically tells you why I'm doing this. So, I don't know if you have any questions for me, but
Hey, just on the state level, what was, you talked about budgets on the state level or funding on the state level, what was that?
it was not in New Hampshire, it was in a different state, but 2 different levels. So I worked for the state for several years and was part of the area that would award money to the community to do funding in the community. So group homes, clinics, things of that nature. So I was involved in the development of those budgets for those requests for proposals that went out. Plus, we had our own budget, our own internal budget for the programs that I oversaw in the state. And then on the flip side of that, I worked on the private side and did budgeting and had to manage the money that the state would give us.
Got it.
Okay, so it was on both sides. I did, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
That seems like a lifetime ago, but
So I think as a town, we have a kind of tough situation, whereas people are literally having trouble paying their tax bills. I printed this off. As of 2/6/2024, approximately 130 taxpayers in Nottingham hadn't paid their second invoice for 2023. Times are tight, and the town is squeezed too. The townspeople voted for a smaller budget, both for the town and the school. So how would you, if you were on this board, how do you, I guess, manage or juggle these 3 things? Because, people are having a hard time paying their taxes, but it's hard for the school and the town to, pay their bills too with the inflation that we have. So what sort of ideas or areas do you think you might be able to?
well, I think it's time to look at least on the town side, I think it's time to look creatively at how we can fund programs a little bit differently. And I think that it's going to take really speaking to the community at large about what really is their priority, because it's not always clear based on how people vote. On the one hand, you'll have people saying they don't want to pay taxes, but then they'll vote a warrant article in that leaves everybody scratching their head. So I think we really need to get clear about what is the community willing to pay for and what they're not willing to pay for. Are they willing to turn around and cut an essential service versus, say, something in the recreation department that's not considered essential. And so I don't think there's a clear answer to that question, because I'm not sure that the community's clear about what it is they want to pay for. So I think it's going to require a lot of digging around and talking. And I literally would be willing to sit at a coffee shop or at Liars, for instance, at the picnic table and invite people to come and talk to me about what it is that they would like to see done at the town level when it comes to budgeting, because I don't think it is clear. I think there's a lot of mixed messages from the taxpayers.
Maureen, how would you engage the people who don't have the time to go to Liars, or not the crowd that go and hang out in Liars? How would you engage, like, the families that have kids that are involved in school and sports and two working parents?
Yep.
How would you get input from them?
I would probably, tell them they could call me, send me an email. I would even be willing to start a Facebook page and say, here, we're only going to talk about budgets. Pardon me?
Good luck with that.
I know. But, give them as many opportunities, maybe even send out a survey, maybe it's time for us as a town to send out a survey and say, what is it that you really want? Because I don't know that I don't think we could keep doing what we're doing.
Except surveys cost money to just do that.
No, well, it would have to be electronic. We wouldn't be putting it, we'd be putting it in a free way, we'd do it in an electronic way, not
Yeah, but then you don't reach some of the people who don't aren't
You
online.
might not, and certainly we could make copies of those and leave them around town for people, for those people who couldn't. We're not gonna reach 100% of the community, that's probably a given. But I don't think the town can afford at this point to keep doing what we're doing, because, you have people who are angry, and I do believe that the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee and the school board all did the best job that they could. I'm not here to criticize what anybody did in any of those, in anybody's role. I think people did the best that they could with what they had, and yet people are still unhappy. And people are still unable to pay their tax bill. There's a subset of people that can't pay their tax bill, so.
So, as we talk about this, and this is, take it as it is, how I say it, we talk about the 130 people right here. There's a lot more houses in town than that are paying, that do want services. We tend to focus on the few and the minority and not the majority. So as when I say this, is that when somebody says, oh, we need to lower taxes and we need to lower this thing here, and we're gonna cut funding and we're gonna cut items, what about the 80% of the people out there that aren't paying their taxes but that want those? How are we reaching them?
I don't think those two things are, I think just because people are paying their taxes doesn't necessarily mean they're happy
But there's a
with
lot of services.
with the
people-
way
I think
they
it's-
are.
I think the services people want, and
Well,
the things
maybe,
are gonna
maybe
get
not, I
cut.
don't know. I don't know that we can say that. I know a whole group of people who are angry at how much taxes they're paying. They're still paying them.
Sure.
They're still paying their taxes, but they're not happy with the amount of taxes. I look at my own family, and we moved here in 2018, I believe, and our taxes have gone up over $7,000. We haven't even been here 8 years. And our taxes have gone up over $7,000 since we came here, between all the different, Yeah, I know what we paid and I know what we're paying now.
It's all online too, so.
So, yeah.
Not like anybody, everybody wanna look it up, they can.
Yeah.
I'm not being argumentative, I'm just saying that that's,
You are.
well, you know,
Yes, you are, John.
come on, right?
Yeah,
I know this is
John,
why
if
you
you
wanna
wanna
be
be
here, right,
argumentative.
exactly.
The
tone of the voice.
I think you have to make, yes, that's terrible, but I've been here for 30 years, and my taxes have not gone up $7,000. So you have to be able to compare apples to apples, right? So,
Right. I've been here 20 years, they've doubled. My salary hasn't doubled, so is what it is.
Yeah, so I think there's a whole group of people that fall into different categories, and we're not gonna make everybody happy, and I'm not saying that we need to, slice and dice up the budgets. What I am saying is that we only have a certain amount of money to work with. We have a 4% tax cap on the town side. The school has done a good job at trying to stay within that 4%. And people, you know, I think the voting down both of those two budgets was a clear message. Whether people want to look at it that way or not, obviously people aren't happy with higher budgets. So, I mean,
Well, I don't think it's all that. I mean, it's economy too. You know, I mean, when things are
well,
rolling
of
good.
course, it's all
people,
related.
You know.
It's
right,
all
sure.
related, right? When you have to pay so much more for food and electricity and gas and everything else, and then you have a tax bill that you don't like, well, it all adds up after a while. So,
Because everybody else was having to pay all that too.
yeah.
I mean, the town.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the 4% tax cap. Do you think that's too low, or do you think that's adequate? Because there were things that couldn't fit in the town budget that were made warrant articles, and nothing passed, and it was kind of haphazard as to what, I thought there was some critical things that were moved to warrant articles to meet the tax cap, like the road funding.
Right.
And then somehow that didn't pass either. So I'm concerned about the 4% simply because I don't think it's adequate.
But that wouldn't say, I mean, I'm just gonna say one thing. I mean, that's a personal, well, I mean, again, we're asking questions, but the four, I don't know, never mind, forget it, just go on. I ain't gonna say it, just gonna go on.
I actually want to follow up on that along the same lines, because I want to make sure that we're not grilling these people down to minute details, because.
Would you like to know how I voted in the last?
That's what I was going for, Maureen, sorry.
So that's my point,
Because
right?
I think
Jill
that's
and I,
something that we
and
consider on the budget committee.
we're not subjected, we weren't subjected to the same questioning, right? So nobody came to me and said, were you in favor of the tax cap or not, and why? So I just want to make sure that we're being fair to these guys, that we're not holding them to a different standard than we were held to.
Does that mean I can pass on this?
It's always your call if you want to answer a
It's our
question.
call. I mean, it is difficult. I mean, it is a legitimate, difficult budget to work with. And, you know, the school, you know, hats off to the school. They are not required to submit to that 4% legally, but they do. And it's very hard for, you know, on the school side and our side to see how are we going to keep that number down, because the math doesn't always math, and it's difficult, so.
Especially when healthcare went up 14.8%,
Right.
right?
No control over
And we're forced to pay it.
Right.
You know what I mean? That
I
was
mean, there's
big.
things you're just gonna have to pay for, and then what's left,
Right.
right?
Yep.
They have, right.
Well, any other cross-examinations for Maureen?
fingerprints.
Really.
Good. Well, thank you very much. Maureen has a prior
be of
commitment
help,
tonight, so
Love
she's
it.
going
Oh,
to
I
have
will
to.
say one thing, I'm going to Greece and Rome in October.
Okay.
So depending on when that meeting is,
October 3rd and October 24th are our two scheduled meetings.
okay, so I would be here for the 3rd,
And then we
and I'll
come
be
on
there for
November
the
7th.
I'll be there for the 24th, so I wouldn't miss an October
Oh,
meeting.
you would pass up us for Greece and Rome?
It's a tough call, Donna, but, thanks so much.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, I did have one additional question.
Sure.
So, are we taking input from other folks that are here as well tonight? Anybody in the audience who might have comments?
I would.
What's that?
We did last year. People spoke up. I don't know if they were.
Charlotte says yes, John says no.
I'm not
It's,
saying it's the
No,
right
I
thing to
said
do.
I
I'm just saying,
wouldn't.
you know.
It-
I just didn't know the process.
Yeah.
I guess last year we did.
We
I don't
did,
remember.
yeah.
I mean, it's
I
kind of
was-
nice. I feel like it is going to stretch the meeting out, which is,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of up to the board.
feel either way about
I can go either way.
I think it's our vote, and it gets more complicated the more people that we get involved in it.
Okay.
I don't disagree.
All right. So we'll
Just
stick.
wanted that
Sure.
clarification.
We'll stick to our candidates, and there will be no public comment tonight. You'll have to come to our next meeting, I guess. All right. Who's next?
Karen Quinn, 26 Tuckaway Shores. So I'm putting my name in for the Budget Committee because I didn't want to sit back and say, "Ah, I should have done that," and to be upset or disappointed when, you know, budget items come through, they don't get passed, or the budget, you know, different decisions are made. I want to be part of the process in trying to solve budget problems. And I know, you know, it isn't easy. It is difficult, and people are having to make cuts on their own and can't afford things, and taxes are going up and prices are going up. And I thought, because of my background, having done budgets, I ran a research center, so I developed a budget, managed a budget. That was a $10 million budget. And in addition to that, received $2.5 million in grant funding. So I'm, same as Maureen, I have a history of applying for and receiving grants. And, you know, that's another opportunity to begin looking for some grant funding for individual things within the town. I also have been very active in the community. When I first moved here full-time 4 years ago, I began working on the Marston Recreation Center fundraising committee, again, fundraising. And I was the person looking for grants and sponsorships and writing for those, and received some money for Marston. In addition, I'm very involved in the library, the Friends of the Library, another fundraising. I've been on that for 4 years. I've been president of that. And since my tenure on the Friends, along with my friends, we've grown from 6 members to 19 now members of Friends. We have 4 major fundraising opportunities throughout the year. So we've really grown and cherish our library, and have been doing what we can to support the library. I'm also a trustee alternate for the library. So,
Karen, does your professional experience include topics in HR and staff management?
yeah, definitely, yes. I manage a staff. Well, I was a nurse and then a researcher, so I have managed since I was 26 years old, is when I became a head nurse and started managing people.
Does that include making different HR decisions like salary adjustments and benefits policies?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I guess the same then is kind of along the lines of what I asked Maureen then. If you know, the money's tight and it doesn't stretch, so what possible solutions or what areas do you think we could manage, or that you would look at to help, you know, get the budget, get the roads funded, and keep everything moving along? Do you have any ideas?
And there is some money out there in grants, grant.gov. You can look for some of that. So for, you know, funding fire equipment, police equipment, roads, you can find some grants for that. It's not the easiest, but it's an alternative. It's something to do that would be different. I think, you know, one of the things is to explain a little bit more to people why decisions are made. I think if people knew that salaries were being cut, I mean, if I worked in a position and my salary was cut, I would start looking for another job. And I don't know that people really understand or know that. So I do think it is having more town forums where we can talk to people about the specifics and have them give us ideas about what could be done.
I think, just point of clarification, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but all the salary increases from last year remained, is that? Yep. So
Yeah,
no
no
salaries.
were cut.
Yeah, all
Like
the,
myself, you know, unfortunately, 9/11, I got my salary cut 18%, and it took 10 years to get it back. It's just, you need to look at the other side of it, the taxpayer too.
That's why the roads went to so expensive.
John, just, we talk about this later, but was the town administrator's salary cut?
Nope.
Okay,
We didn't cut anybody's salary.
okay.
yeah, salary
I
and
just
salary
actually
and
started at a
benefits.
lower level maybe, because I thought it was higher.
Looking at the
Yes.
budget, it looked like it
I
was
thought I
cut.
saw that also.
So
No,
what,
there was we put in that as a number of what possibly could be the salary.
yeah,
Not saying that's what she was getting,
okay.
but that's where it could be.
I couldn't remember that.
So we came well below it, but it just,
That was the upper limit of the posting, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that was just the number that got carried initially, and then once she got hired, it got adjusted.
I think this is another
But
example.
once she was hired, her salary was never lowered beyond that.
For what, the rate she was hired at, it was never lowered, correct?
Right.
We didn't cut, again, we didn't cut anybody's.
Okay, good.
I think this is an example, though, of what she's saying about people being confused
Right.
about the budget.
That's a misconception on my
Because we did
part.
cut the salary lines. A lot of that thinking, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, John, on the part of the selectmen, were that we were already a quarter through the year
Mm-hmm.
having to do this, and a lot of these positions had remained unfilled because the salaries had been so very low in the past.
Yes.
So I think that's an area of confusion, but I think
It
the
is.
selectmen really made a commitment to investing in employees. It's cost us a fortune to Band-Aid people coming and going all the time.
It is, yes.
I just want to make one more comment, please. It's just ununderstandable. When COVID hit, myself and a lot of my neighbors took a 25% pay cut, okay? No one at the school took it, no one at the town took it either. So like I said, you have to look at the other side of it too, the taxpayer side of it.
Oh,
We are
absolutely.
taking pay cuts. No one here took a pay cut. I mean, you know.
So Karen,
Again, misconception.
I got a question about your budgeting experience, and I should have asked Maureen the same question, but, so you manage budgets, right? And did you have a situation where you wanted, you put a number out there for something that you wanted to fund, and they came back and said, no, you can't have that much, you can only have like 70% of that or whatever? And how did you, in your professional career, deal with those types of situations?
Well, first you try to negotiate and go back to them and point out, what they're losing, potentially, right? And why that might be more costly down the road. If you cut now, how much more it'll cost later.
Yeah.
But then in some instances, it is what it is, and you have to deal with the cuts, and you might have to go back and relook at your budget and reallocate in other areas. So it's always a give and take. But I think the very first is negotiating, going back and looking at what you're gonna lose.
You have no problem with the meeting schedule? Nothing bugs me more when people that sign up and you don't see them.
No, I said in my letter, I am retired, I have time, especially in those winter months, I don't go anywhere, it's too cold.
We meet even on snowy nights.
A nurse, I made it every night, in the middle of the night, whenever I would, yes.
Did you see anything in last year's budget that you thought could have been handled better? I'm not putting, just in
Right,
general. You could say no, yeah, just in general. If there's something that you saw that you thought might have been addressed different or better, that, just.
I think you guys did the best that could be done. A lot of really tough decisions. That's all.
That's good, that's fine.
And nobody asked me about my vote for the 4%. But honestly, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. That's what the taxpayers want, and that's what we've got to work with.
Yeah. Anything else for Karen? All right, thanks a lot, Carrie.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Who are you?
Hi, Tom Bakevich. I think pretty much everybody knows me. I came because I read on Doug's thing that nobody had signed up. And, we don't want to have an empty seat here, so I thought I'd come down. And I must be crazy, but I'll offer to serve again. And I say I must be crazy because I really don't envy what you guys are going to have to do this year. Because it was hard enough last year, getting everything under the 4% and whatnot. But now that we've been voted back down to the default budget, and there's going to be more spending stuff coming up throughout the year. So it's going to have to be bigger, more significant cuts to get under that 4% budget. And I don't know if you thought about this, but if you want to make sure that voters vote for the proposed budget and don't vote for the default budget, you might even want to think about not just seeing 4% as the number to hit, but maybe 2%, 3%. I don't know. I don't know if it can even be done, but you might want to think about it. I don't want to get into a big ideological thing. You know, I believe the town should protect our life, liberty, and property. I stand up for the taxpayers, blah, blah, blah. All I want to tell you is you should appoint me back to the committee. I have the experience. We have other people with budgeting experience. That's great. I have experience with these budgets, with the town and the school budgets for the last 4 years. I know them in and out. I know everything that's in the budgets. I know what we can cut. I know what we can't touch. Like most of the school, we can't touch a lot of that stuff. It's contractual. I know what all the hot button issues are in town, where if you mention them or question them, you get people hating you on Facebook. And you are going to have to ask a lot of tough questions, and you're going to have to make some really unpopular suggestions and unpopular cuts to get under the 4%, which you're legally mandated to do. And, you know, from experience, I'm willing to ask those tough questions, and I'm willing to make the tough suggestions, and I already got enough haters, so I don't care. I save you from having to make the tough questions and the tough decisions, okay? So that's really all I wanted to say, but then just some thoughts from the other discussions that we had come up here. Attendance, I believe I have a perfect attendance record if you count me phoning into the very last meeting, which was not a regularly scheduled meeting. I appreciate that you accommodated me for that. I like to say, let's talk about something Sandra brought up about moving things out to warrant articles to meet the tax cap. You know, that was something that it really irked me the last 2 years, that the select board moved out the road maintenance to the warrant article. And I said repeatedly, you know, why are we moving out one of the town's critical functions that's very, very important to a warrant article where we could risk the voters voting it down? And Steve Welch, who was the select board rep that night, said, well, we picked moving that out because we were sure that the voters were going to support it and vote for it. And I said, I wouldn't be so sure. Why would you want to risk something that important instead of something that's not as important, like some mowing a ball field or something? Why don't we put that out to a warrant article instead? But they were very confident. And you see what happened. Now we have no money for road maintenance. It's a big problem. I also like to say, you know, I bring creative ideas. Some people don't like them. I throw a lot of ideas out there. It's called brainstorming. Some makes people angry. Some are just bad. But, you know, you got to have some creative ideas. So there's been discussion about how can we raise some money to pay for things that people want. One thing that you could do is make it easier for people to voluntarily donate to the town. Now, you might say, well, people aren't going to pay more money in taxes than they have to. But before the election, when I was driving around town, I saw lots of signs up that says, support warrant article 2, pass the budget, support our town, support our school. There are hundreds of people that voted during the election to pay higher taxes than they're paying right now. I think that the select board should make it easier for these people to support the town. I don't know if you want to call it like Nottingham Plus. It's a way to support your community, make a voluntary donation of a few $1,000s. I believe if it's under 10, you don't have to have a special meeting to accept it. And give them, I don't know, a car sticker so that they can, feel recognized for their contribution. But literally hundreds of people voted to pay more taxes. And you should help give them a way to support the community if that's what they want to
They
do.
agreed to pay more taxes, or they agreed to vote for what the budget was there.
They voted for everybody to pay more taxes.
So,
is really
Voting
what they
for a
voted
budget
for.
pay for more taxes, I think they wanted services, that's why they voted.
But they
the way
know it
did.
comes at a cost,
You can-
right?
Of course, everything comes
Yeah.
at a cost. If they gave free money to Nottingham, that comes at a cost too.
Yeah. Anyways, that's just an example.
Tom,
of
that's
an
why I
idea.
always like talking to you, but we
I like
always
talking
have
to
that
you too.
discussion, man.
So yeah, that's all I have to say. I bring the experience. You know I'm going to show up to every meeting. I'm happy to make the tough suggestions. So if you have any other questions.
I thought there was an RSA where you can donate already.
I think you can donate up to $10,000. If it's more than that, they have to have a meeting to accept unanticipated revenue.
Like we had to. At the end
Like
of
when
the
someone
year.
donates to the police, $10,000
Yep.
in 1 year.
Oh yeah, and there's an example of it at our previous meeting. Tim DeRio and Owen,
Yeah.
they've voluntarily donated what, $4,000 each to the police department. See, that's very commendable.
And you volunteered the ammunition.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. People might be charitable.
Any questions for Tom? I feel like we know you, Tom.
We all know
Don't
Tom.
feel bad.
We all know
To
Tom.
be fair, you asked him the same question you did every.
You already answered mine, so whatever.
Yeah, they feel like he answered some questions.
Watch out with that bag of cookies, because if you eat at a meeting, people complain on Facebook about it.
It's true.
We're gonna have a memorial smorgasbord in your name.
Tom, any thoughts on what could have been handled better in the budget process last year?
From our end, I don't know what we could have done more. I think, potentially we could have tried to get it a little lower and not just see 4% as that's the number we're going to meet. Every year it's going to be a 4% tax increase. But I think a lot of the decisions that needed to be made were not decisions that need to be made on budget committee. They're things that need to be made on the select board. What stuff's going to be risked on a warrant article? What stuff's going to be put into the budget where it automatically gets funded? We had a lot of discussions with the other people that come up here and they say, well, we want to do this and we want to do that. And they're really things that are not what budget committee does. And ultimately what budget committee is going to be doing this year is trying to get the budget under 4% so that it can legally be submitted, because it's not going to come in under 4% from the select board or the school, and we're going to have to work to get it down. Now the school, we don't have to get it under 4%, and they have not a lot of control over a lot of those items either. But on the town side, we legally mandated to get it under 4%.
Yeah, I do appreciate an alternate voice, and I do appreciate some of the work that you've done. I would like to see a budget committee that works more collaboratively and less politically and ideologically. And painfully, although I know you've done a lot of work, this is the second year that apparently the voters have not seen that, and you've not been elected to the position.
How many people voted in the election?
1,200, 2,000?
It's just
14, or I want to say 14 something.
Look at you.
Look at me.
Yeah, wow.
Does it matter?
No.
If it was
No.
Well, I'm
before, yeah.
just wondering, because I got something like 10% maybe of the townspeople voted for me, and I don't know, the people that won probably got 14, 15%. So there's a lot of people that didn't really speak to that. And there's a lot of misinformation going around, and there's a nice hater campaign going on.
You
Yeah.
could say that about every campaign.
Of course.
I've been through a campaign too where there was misinformation. But
I could also rightfully say I have more votes than all the other people that wanted to be appointed.
You could say
Correct?
that.
Or
Yeah.
you could say that you lost, and these are people who are now stepping forward.
But I also, hundreds of people did vote for
To be-
me.
Yeah, I don't mean to be
No,
painful,
sounds
but
like
you do
it.
care about what the voters say. You often say that, you care about what the voters say.
I find it really hard to read what the voters said on this election. It's very confusing, right?
I agree.
It
They
is.
vote down these budgets, they vote for other things, they vote down warrant. It was a very interesting year.
We're getting off course on personal stuff.
And it's
I don't
not
know.
that I'd like to still hear your voice. I'd like to hear
Oh,
you
we will.
involved in things.
Well,
This is your chance.
well, if you want to hear my voice, Charlotte, then vote to appoint me.
But I would like to really work collaboratively and really try to get somewhere without the ideological asides.
So I don't have your support?
I think,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's time to move on, Mike.
Yeah, we're gonna move on. I was just, to that point, I was gonna say, whilst, Tom did not get, the top 3 numbers of votes, Tom always stands for a lower budget, and the voters, by a great majority, or at least
Voted for it.
voted for a lower budget. I guess it wasn't a great majority, I'll take that back. Voters by a majority voted for a lower budget.
Are we-
Deliberation?
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions for Tom?
Thank you.
Not a lot. Nope, I take it back. Thank you very much, Tom.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Is there anybody else in the audience that? Sorry, yeah, Tom gets this too. No claps for Tom. Yeah. We clap for everybody. Everybody gets a clap. Anybody else that would like to? Last chance, Kevin.
Oh, wait, I think
was my
John
finance
Decker
guy
wanted
there.
to. That's why you're here, John, right?
Okay.
We'll close public comment.
All right. I guess that'll be the end of public comment then. So thanks, Tom, Karen, and Maureen, who had to leave. So I guess it is up for us to deliberate, discuss, and see what we think. Heard from Charlotte. quiet.
I think we already know who we're voting for.
Well, I think it's still worthy of deliberation, and I find, with Tom does ask good questions. I do think he's a bit of a lightning rod. I do think that he has served on the board twice, run for re-election after each time, and hasn't been re-elected. And that, to me, is a message from the voters. I think in this last election, he had 200-something votes to the rest of us who got elected, who had 600
Tom
something.
had, sorry, Dana, just point, Tom had 459.
I'm sorry, you're right. I'm sorry, there was a 200-ish vote delta. So there's that. I support Karen Quinn because she's got experience with an area of the town that people on this committee don't have experience with, so I think she can bring a good, fresh perspective. She's had experience going after grants. She's had experience, managing large budgets. And she's an active member of the community who really cares enough to go out and spend her personal time looking for grants and doing fundraising. And I support her for that reason.
I would add that the town is a major employer, and issues around employment and staffing in town drive a lot of the decisions and discussions, and her experience as doing HR-related work professionally would be an asset to those conversations. Not even necessarily for her specific viewpoint, but for understanding what it means and the implications of those decisions when you make budgetary decisions that affect staffing in a town or organization. I think that's very valuable experience to bring to the conversation.
I just one quick question. Grants, isn't that still taxpayer money? It's just other people's money, it's just not town. Yeah.
It depends on the nature. I'm a grant writer by training, so it depends on the nature of the grant and the source of the funds.
So where do you think it would come from?
Requests? So do you want to reject them, Robert, because they're not
Did
coming
I
from
say
our
that? I
town?
just made a statement that they are still taxpayer money.
I would say that
Federal level, but the state
since I've been
level?
on the
Hang on.
budget committee,
Nope.
we've never.
Hang on, everybody, you gotta talk, you gotta wait your turn.
Can I say something?
We're gonna let Bob finish, and then.
Yeah, that's all. I was just making a statement, just so everyone's aware of it.
All right.
I was gonna say, since I've been on this board, I just got reelected. I've already served a 3-year term. We've never chased down a grant here. It's good to talk about it. It's good experience to have, but as a board, we don't sit here and chase down grants.
Yeah.
It could be a suggestion to others.
Yeah, or for the town departments, but
Sure.
yeah, it's a little bit outside of our
Town
scope.
departments would be absolutely thrilled.
Yeah.
To have a grant
Board
writer.
of Selectmen, the police department, the fire department, the highway department, to anybody that would like to step forward and help us getting grants for any of those people. You don't have to be.
I'm
on
not
this
saying it's
board.
bad. I'm just
No, I'm just saying that, but
on this board, we haven't done it.
federal money, so it's fine. I'd like to personally say, I've worked with Maureen, and I've known her for quite a few years, and actually, I never sat on a board with her, but just had many discussions over my time. And as me and Maureen don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, I feel like she is somebody that is negotiable and reasonable to deal with. So if you had to tell me my top 3 right now, since we're just spitting out ballparks, I mean, I do, maybe it's because I've known her for a while, and I realize that, again, we're not gonna see eye to eye, and I think that a lot of people would like that. She's probably a lot more conservative than I am on certain issues, but that's fine. I think that's a good diversity for the board and for the people to have something like that. It's not all about, getting this to go one way or the other. It's about getting good representation for everybody in the town. That there should be a voice for, whatever faction you want to call yourself or whatever like that, diversity, instead of having all the same opinion. So she would be definitely, maybe, I think, a little bit of a different wild card, and I think that would be something that I'd sitting at my position, would have to work with, and I'd be okay.
John, I would also agree. I've had the opportunity to work with Maureen on the facilities committee, this past cycle, and I believe she's still on the facilities committee this next year. While she also still has extensive background in budgeting, grant writing, she's also been on the CIP and was a big supporter of the adequacy aid funding, which was huge for the school. We really needed that. So having her support was huge. I think she's deeply invested. She has grandchildren in the school. I think she's open to hearing all sides. We're in the process of putting out an RFP for a modular expansion. So having someone who's sitting on the facilities committee to be able to clearly articulate the financial process for that and how it's looking, I think is valuable.
Yeah, I like the idea of Maureen as well, because I think she'd probably be more fiscally conservative, as Tom is, but Tom, sometimes you're unruly, even the gravel, you know? So I think Maureen would bring that balance to the board without the fisticuffs. We appreciate you a lot, Tom. You did a powerhouse of work these last couple of years. Like, you did the heavy lifting getting us to that 4% number. I really have to recognize your work in that, but
Yeah, there's no disrespect to anybody.
almost broke the
Happy to
gavel
work.
over it, though, you know? So I think Maureen might be a good compromise in that she would represent, a more fiscally conservative viewpoint and maybe be a little more workable as a board member.
I feel like both women have very compelling backgrounds
Got a pick.
and a lot of budget history. I know Maureen, and I've worked with her also. I do like the idea of someone who is a negotiator and a fresh perspective and a fresh view. So I think I would lean towards Karen Quinn. I think they're doing a pretty good job over at the library, managing a very, very tight budget and very difficult circumstances. I'd like to see some fresh faces. I think Maureen will always be involved in things. I hope she will be. But I would like to see some proven negotiator who's very invested in the town in a different way. So I think
I'll just add to that by saying that
go towards Karen.
Jen can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the budget for the library has increased in 6 years.
I thought we just gave him 47,000 this year.
This is the first.
That was for a specific issue though, wasn't it, Jen?
So it's been fairly flat, not dead flat, but fairly flat. It went from 46 to...
Sorry to interrupt you, Jen, but nobody at home's going to be able to hear you. If you wouldn't mind coming to the front, stating your name and then responding.
So anyway,
Whoa, we're not talking about the,
No, no,
offense,
no,
Jen.
no, no.
We're not talking about
No.
the library budget, we're
right,
talking about.
let me just
We'll reiterate.
clarify where my point was coming from. My point was coming from that the library has been on a very, pretty flat budget for a number of years, and yet Karen, with her experience, has contributed to trying to get the most out of that and to look for new ways for funding and getting new people involved. That was my point. Sorry, I said the wrong thing.
I support Tom, so.
Yeah,
I'll
sometimes you have to.
I'll keep it short and sweet. It's,
Yeah, sometimes you have to look through the rhetoric. I don't agree with everything he says.
Tom knows the budget's inside and out.
He does.
He's put in extra work that's not required here when we meet. Nobody asks him to do it. He does it on his own.
You can use better
And
choice words sometimes.
Tom is an idea factory, and that's good to have, I think. Especially in an environment like this, when we're talking about, making tough decisions about
Yeah.
moving line items around and stuff like that. This man is an idea factory, and he cares, so.
He does.
I agree.
Sandra?
I don't know, hang on, Tom, we'll have
I
to.
wanted to withdraw my candidacy, if that helps, with your three-way voting.
Well, two-way voting, no.
I mean, I'm just running around, that's what people are saying, so.
Yeah,
Just keep
that's,
it-
I have
I
about the
mean,
same too.
I was waiting to hear from Sandra, from Jillian, and Owen, and you're,
I've spoken, John, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if nobody has anything to say to add to the deliberation, then we can go to a vote.
I think Jillian was
But Tom, you're officially
Okay.
withdrawing your name.
Yeah, I don't
7,
think I got
8.
the support.
Missing
I would
one,
support
Owen.
Maureen.
Go ahead and say.
I think you guys all speak enough for me. I'm good.
Thank you, man, a few words.
That works for him.
Okay, well then, we got down to 2 candidates.
I guess we'll just show of hands.
Well.
Roll call?
Can't do that.
Let's,
Gotta do
let's,
roll
let's
call, right?
Roll call.
do the roll call, like we did.
All right. Jillian and Danielle. Okay. Any other discussion? All right, we will do roll call. We'll start with you, Sandra.
Karen Quinn. And I didn't say anything during the discussion because what was said was what I would have said, so.
That keeps meetings efficient.
Bob?
Maureen.
Okay. Charlotte?
Karen Quinn?
John?
I'm gonna go Maureen.
I will say Maureen as well.
Karen?
Karen?
Maureen?
Karen? Maureen?
Well,
No?
Oh, we got a
5-5 tie.
Tie.
What do you mean, Maureen, it is?
got
5-5 tie.
5-5.
We got 10 of us.
Who are we missing?
Well, this is a very bad.
Person we're about to appoint.
We're trying to
Yeah.
we're trying to fill in 11.
The person we're voting on.
It's not even midnight yet, guys.
Trouble counting tonight.
So, reopen for deliberation?
I don't know that's gonna help us.
I don't think it's gonna help us.
Well, we're very.
So
Hey,
we.
reopen for
so
suggestions?
You can either do one thing, like I can right now, if I want to, I can switch the vote.
Anybody could.
And then we just flip it over that way and say it's Karen.
Is that what you're saying you wanna do, John?
I'm saying that's, if we're a tie right now, so somebody has to be the tiebreaker. You know, I'll volunteer to be the tiebreaker. I mean, again, I like Maureen, but again, somebody has to do it, so unless you wanna go around and do it all again and see if it changes.
It's not likely.
I don't think it's
So you
likely.
flip a coin?
It's gonna-
Well, John's willing to change his vote, though.
You don't have to feel forced into that if you're not comfortable changing your vote. Don't.
Right.
We can,
Vote
Right,
counts.
someone else can change their vote.
We can come up with a different solution.
Well, then I'm all ear. If there's a different solution, I mean,
Well, I mean, that's more fair, letting somebody change their vote, that's more fair than flipping a coin.
I would agree wholeheartedly. I'm
Okay.
telling John I don't think I want him to feel forced into a situation he's not
because
comfortable.
he's
Except he brought
well,
it
let's
up.
say this. I can, since I'm not actually a budget committee member, I can actually recuse myself from voting since you all are elected budget committee members, and then the vote's gonna go that way to 5-4.
Why don't we
That's
go
another
around
way
the
to-
room again, then if you want, you change your vote then.
Or I could just, I mean,
Or you can recuse.
I can recuse, I mean,
We would still need a revote on a tie. Officially.
I'm just trying to help make a decision, so,
Appreciate it.
you know, I'm
Before
not trying to be, either one I think is gonna be good, so.
Revote? Revote?
Yeah, we'll revote.
Okay, Sandra?
Sandra?
Karen Quinn.
Bob?
Maureen.
Karen
Charlotte.
Quinn?
Karen?
All right, I'll stay with Maureen.
Karen?
Karen?
Maureen?
Karen? Maureen?
Okay,
There we go.
That is official.
that is official.
Thank you, everybody, for all your time and for coming out. We
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
Kevin.
all the candidates.
Thank you, everyone else.
Karen, congratulations.
Congratulations.
And
Karen, our condolences.
our condolences, and
Our condolences.
here's your packet. We got stuff to, no, you have to get sworn in.
We have,
Oh, do we have it here?
yes, so Karen, if you're willing for the meeting, so John can swear you in. We have a few items of business tonight. So if you'd like, we can, how about we take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, we also need to find a chair.
Is there a
Why is,
seat for
where,
her?
who is?
Yes, we'll find a chair.
Somewhere near that chair I'm going with. Maybe we do a little,
I know, like shit. It was like a
Does that make sense? If you weren't an elected member, I mean, it's kind of a,
We are a pretty balanced board then,
We're a
if it's
balanced
not, so
board.
that's good, yeah.
No, it is, we're balanced.
Yeah.
we're gonna, it's gonna work either way, so.
Either we're gonna squeeze her on the end,
Like Maureen, and I wouldn't even,
I'm sure we can scoot a little bit, you just bring her right in.
you know,
It's the give and take, you know, and it's.
Karen, welcome to the ladies' corner.
All right, 5 minutes.
What a dramatic for you this evening.
oh boy.
Charlotte. Oh, yes, it's so nice to meet you in person.
You want me to do it in public, doesn't matter if I swear or non-public.
You can, however you'd like to do it, just get her signature on the paper, and then we'll sign it, and it'll be official.
For you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Want a witness?
oh, sure, I'd love to witness.
Right here. Weeks, right? I finally just took it off my phone.
Let's sign first.
It's like I drove by.
Picture, don't sign it.
It's a newsworthy moment.
You're taking it down already? You're gonna sign it after I say it or whatever.
Man, look at that.
I owe you a dozen cookies.
Well, you might as well just be mean. You shouldn't do the fake like being nice thing.
I should have said I was coming, Bob. I should have listened when I was coming out. I didn't even think about it. Just hold it further away. Yeah, you'll clean meetings.
It's just see, let's see where it goes. Also, it might be a shut.
Actually, I want to see who gets appointed to CIP, because that's gonna be my baby.
We can figure that out tomorrow. What's your name? Kerin?
Yeah, because,
K-A-R-Y.
because it's been neglected.
Yeah, likewise. I've known Pam and Jim for a very long time.
Oh, yes, they know everyone for a very long
Yes.
time.
Yeah. In fact, we have a book club, and for the first time we read one of Jim's books. We decided to get like outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And read one of his books, and I was like, oh, I really liked
Oh,
that.
that's great. I'm going to confess, I have never read one of his books.
Okay, so read The Burn.
The Bird?
Yes,
Okay.
Burn, because we asked Pam about what was a easy entry into science fiction.
Okay.
Because I've never been like science fiction.
Not my thing.
Not my
personally.
thing, but I read it and I really liked it, and it's short.
Okay, all right. He'll be thrilled.
Yes.
We joke that we don't respect him for the star that he is.
Yeah.
For us, he's just a puppet.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. So we'll be having a group to discuss it. I think in 2 weeks.
Oh, you're reading it right now?
Yeah, the group's
Oh,
reading it right now.
Wow, okay,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
realize
yeah.
that.
So how long have you been in town?
2 years?
Yeah.
2 years, and we were in Barrington, just over the border right before that. And
Nice. And where are you? Where do you live?
we're on Guile, on the paved end.
Yeah.
Right by, if you know, Sue. Rich Pasco is across the street from us, you might know him.
Yeah. I'm on the lake, obviously.
Yes,
So.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be the chair for now.
Yeah, no, we've been so happy there.
And you have kids in school, or?
No, my children are too young to be in school. So my oldest just turned 4,
We all
and
need to
my
sign
younger
this,
son
right?
is
Karen
1.
Fun.
Yeah,
4 is a fun age.
Yeah, I'll put her.
it is.
Because she read this.
Yeah.
Back to.
No, he'll do. He's gonna do preschool at the Seacoast Charter School starting in September.
Yeah.
And then he'll come home to Nottingham for kindergarten when he's kindergarten age.
Yeah.
But the preschool situation here does not work for us.
See you again. Yeah.
Making it all official, so
We met.
Karen can
It's
talk.
nice to meet you. I did. It's nice to meet you.
Yes, I remember you.
You do.
I think we're ready. Oh, we all have to sign?
Yeah, we
the-
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, the rest of the board signs it in.
That's fine.
decide that we had?
Did Karen sign it?
Sign down below, right?
Oh, that's right, sure.
I'm just
her.
surprised that that split. when it was-
She is still the 11th, no matter how many times you try to not make her.
I was just going by that,
You know, I've never been good
by
at math.
the 5-5.
So glad you're here.
Okay, I've signed,
It won't be that way because, what's his name, the BOS?
Oh, fancy pen.
Rio,
Somebody had this.
He votes your
Wasn't me.
way, so it won't be 5.
sign this and pass it, we all need to sign on it.
And I just want to come over and formally introduce.
Yep, nice to
John
meet you.
usually does too,
Nice
though.
to meet you.
What's that?
John usually does too, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Back to work.
Thank you. I don't see where I sign. Oh, right up here.
Yeah, red.
Yep, yeah, if you could just sign that, and then Karen will be official. Our next order of business is to select committee officers, chair, vice chair, and if someone was willing, with a laptop, if anyone would be interested in being a secretary, note keeper for our meetings. There is a line in the town budget for budget, notes, note keeping, but I don't know if anybody would be able to keep notes. They don't have to be super detailed,
You must have signed.
Doesn't matter.
but just who votes, how we vote, and kind of the main order of our minutes. So I don't know if that was interesting to anybody or not.
We missing one?
You sign.
I did sign. Did you sign?
Doesn't matter, I signed there. You have enough signatures anyway, so.
Oh, we only need a majority.
Yeah.
So,
Like, I get the desire and need to kind of be cost conscious. I do think it's difficult for somebody to take notes and participate in the
Absolutely.
meeting.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the only thing. And you do want the minutes to be a little more meaty, so I just, yeah.
think it works? No, that's fine. I just thought I'd throw it out there, and,
Yeah, I agree, because a member who's also the secretary, there's the appearance of the information being swayed.
Yep, yep.
I think even if you could do it, you wouldn't be fully participating in the budget committee if you're trying to take minutes.
Seems
Right,
tricky.
if I'm trying to write down what you
Yeah.
said and
Yeah.
think about how I'm gonna answer you,
Good thought.
I'll probably write down what
Probably
I'm
too
gonna
tricky to
answer
pull
you.
off.
Yep.
However, if anybody from the community who is really concerned about saving budget
about you,
wants to
John?
step forward and volunteer to take minutes, that would be
Mr.
great.
Bates has a laptop. So, okay, so we will cancel that one. Is there a motion?
Something might come up between now and
Yeah, September.
September, so
We got some.
let's not rule it out.
The other members then would be chair and vice chair. So I would be willing to serve as chair again, if you would like.
And I would make that nomination.
Okay,
I'll second.
so nomination from Sandra Jones, seconded by Bob Kelly. Feels weird. All in favor of me.
Any discussions?
Any discussion?
Yeah, no discussion about that. I mean, I haven't served on the committee, obviously, but I didn't know if, like, you had a pattern of succession where I know we did it on the select board generally, like,
That's how I
where
got stuck where I am.
where the vice chair ascends to chair. I just didn't know if you guys have done that in the past.
My experience was, Michelle did it for a few years in a row.
We didn't do that.
Mike, when does your term end
This year.
this year?
You know, if you looked at over the years, the select board always changed chairs. But that's that board. But, I was sitting on this board, sitting on planning board, like the planning board chair has been the chair for 3 years and it's gonna be the chair. And then even back in the day when I was on the chair for the planning board was always the same. So I don't see a problem with not changing, if that's how the board feels.
That's how they vote.
Just because what one board does one thing doesn't mean it's necessary, unless somebody else wanted to step up to
And Mike
say,
was
"Hey,
chair
I wanna
for
be chair."
23 years or so, off and on.
Sure, again, it could vary. The question is now is, does anybody else, Owen, since you're another member, do you want to be chair? Does anybody else feel that they want to be chair? It's not about, voting against, You or anything like this, it's just a general
A-okay
conversation
with
we're all
me.
trying to have.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
when
know.
is your term in?
2 years. This is my second year.
Is there any logic to like trying to move a vice chair up, like almost like train, you know, and then he'll be pass the baton next year when it's his last year, just like in terms of,
Oh, I see.
I don't know, that's frequent on boards in terms of good governance and like training succession and making sure that there's good order. Is there any logic to that in this sense?
No, usually we just see who wants to do it, and everyone's
And
in
the vice
favor of
chair,
it, you know what I
over the
mean?
years, does chair some meetings,
Yeah.
because the chair is out sometimes.
Right.
And the vice chair and the chair sit together and work together, so.
And actually, it ended up,
Over the years, historically, that's what's happened.
and it ended up this year, I couldn't make the school deliberative and Mike couldn't make the town deliberative, so we ended up just alternating who chaired which. So there is some overlap to it, but I do know what you're saying. I've been on other, volunteer boards and stuff, and then usually there's, president-elect, president, past president, there's a sequential kind of order to it, but.
Yeah, and I think on boards, maybe even on the select board, John, when you have somebody who repeats, it's because nobody else wants to do it. I've had that situation before where I was chair of the select board for 2 years in a row, but it was because nobody else on the board at the time wanted it. So, yeah.
You're both pretty busy guys with jobs and families. I mean, is there any advantage to just switching so one has more, or is it pretty much the same amount of responsibility for both of you?
Well, the biggest thing is that it's getting
A lot of
the
work, I know.
agenda together and making sure the emails are sent out on time and all of that.
Yeah, it's just email coordination work and stuff, so.
Controlling the meeting.
And controlling the meeting.
I like the idea of succession, because it's almost like you're getting on-the-job training and moving on up.
Yeah, I'd be happy to be chair if that's what the board desires. I'd also be happy to be vice chair, or I'd be happy to be anything else. That doesn't.
Except secretary.
Except secretary. I'm not doing that one. That is fair. I don't think I could pull that off. I can't write and talk at the same time. That ain't happening.
Well, you can ask, does anyone else want to be chair? Start from there.
That's a good question.
Start, simple question.
Does anybody else want to be chair?
Not at all.
Spoken like a smart man.
Well,
Also, there was a motion and a second too, so I don't know if we need to.
Oh, yeah.
So right now we're in the
We'll need
discussion,
to vote
so we
on it
need to
eventually, but
address
we're
that
still in
before-
the
yeah.
discussion stage.
Still in
Yep.
discussion, so before we move on, we need to address that. Any other discussion?
no, I'll just throw out there that I'm in favor of the idea of succession.
Okay. Great, so I guess then we'll vote, the motion was that I would remain as chair by Sandra Jones, seconded by Bob Kelly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'll vote for myself, that would be 5, that still didn't pass, so the motion did not pass. Would there, anyone like to make another motion?
I'll make a motion that Owen be chair.
Okay, so the motion was made by Donna Danis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Karen Quinn. Any discussion? Okay.
Owen's done a good job.
Yeah, we'll do a great job. There's the gavel.
I did like that last year when I got to use it.
Good with that gavel, I must say.
that's all I
He even
Got
brought
a
the
little
gavel,
excited
that's
one
right.
time.
All those in favor then of Owen Friend Gray as chair? You can raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those opposed? 1, 2. Sure.
I wasn't sure to vote for myself or not.
It's still a 5-5 vote.
You can vote for
Because I didn't vote for either.
No, and you abstained on the vote. It was a 5-3 vote.
So so the motion passes 5, 3, and do the math, Mike. 3 abstentions. Okay, Owen, congratulations.
Thank you,
And that
Mike.
was nothing
Congrats.
personal, Mike, that was just about the.
A-okay with me.
Now, do we have the vice chair?
Vice chair.
I nominate Mike.
I second.
All right.
Work well together.
No, it's you now. It's your meeting, bud.
Oh, jeez. No, yes, crap.
Nice job, Mike, I like that.
Well done. Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor for Mike as vice chair. Is there any discussion?
Who made the motion, sorry?
I did.
Sandra, second by Jeff.
Second by Jeff.
Well, is there anyone willing?
This will be my last year, so if anybody else wanted the vice
For the concept
chair.
of the secession planning.
No, I'm not making that decision right now, Jeff.
I'll put my name out there that I am interested in being vice chair.
Is there any other interest? Any discussion? Okay, motion on the floor is Mike Kelly as vice chair. All those in favor?
I'll vote for me, sure. 1, 2, 3.
5 in favor. All those opposed?
What is this?
1, 2, 5.
5 with an abstention, so the motion,
Carries?
historically, we have had that as the motion carries, yep. So I would say that without any reason that we would have to go away from that past precedent, I would say that the motion carries. So Mike is vice chair.
So we have Owen as the chair and Mike as the vice chair.
Just flip-flop them.
Flip-flop.
Right.
You don't even need to move, this is great. Gavel's already on the right side.
Yeah, you're the man now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so, next
You
item.
inherited my stuff.
Next item on the agenda would be the committees. Oh, no, sorry.
Calendar.
We moved minutes. Sorry, so, meeting minutes from 1:18. I would entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
Owen, can I just ask a procedural question?
Yeah.
I mean, I assume I can't vote on the minutes.
You would
so
abstain,
we'll-
Sue, you were here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Technically, you can.
Yes.
You don't have to have been at a meeting to approve, to vote for or
Oh,
against.
no kidding. See, Donna knows more than I do.
Yeah, you
I mean,
can.
I would prefer to abstain.
Most people do.
I think everybody does, that's why I
Everybody
thought that was
does.
the rule.
Yeah, but it's not.
I don't.
It's not the rule.
John just votes for whatever.
You can vote if you so desire.
Good to know.
Could I have a minute to read through these? I don't remember.
Yep. Well, you don't remember being here until 2 in the
Is
morning?
this a super late one?
Yeah, this was the 12:30 that died, and then we ended up having to cobble together my notes and some other people's notes, and
Line 75, 76. You sure our second motion give you a raise, John? 2015. Are you sure? I took it from you.
Do you know what? Because we're all so dedicated, we gave it all back
I
to the
know, you
town, and
guys
none of
did.
us are getting paid.
You guys
oh, you got guilted into it?
So I am
Really? You fought
no
hard for
stipend.
that.
I know, and here I'm volunteering to be on different boards when people need it, and,
did. Yeah.
you know, it's a light week, 'cause it's only 2 meetings, so.
It did, the motion did pass to raise your guys' stipend,
Yeah.
though.
It's
And
6-5.
then you gave it right back.
We gave it right back.
Good for you.
We're gonna eat in the school board with the.
And then the last part, that was what you had written in, Owen, I think.
Yeah, and I did not actually have all of the information on all of these. I was kind of trying to write as I went, but I think there was also like a 10, 15-minute period before we figured it out.
Yep.
So I know there's a hole on some of it, like, that I couldn't fill in, like, I think the votes at the end.
I think
We
we just,
just
I think we
didn't
just
know.
passed those on to Ellen.
Yeah, but there was some that I hadn't actually written down as I was going along because I didn't know it.
She was gonna.
So I think that's what those holes are.
Does anybody know on line 164?
138.
Yeah, the appropriation was by a blank vote.
Oh, actually,
Budget committee recommends by,
see the, your election results, because that should have the warrant article.
oh, yeah.
So
I
that should
don't know if I
answer.
have- I don't think I have the school.
Do you not have that one? Okay.
School.
Well, it's 18, so that's not the school, that's the town. It's on line 137. We
I
didn't
was
have
looking
the
at
numbers.
164.
So if it's on this, then we have the numbers.
It's page 5.
Okay. Warrant Article 18.
6.5, excellent. Oh, we got the number. Okay, so I would propose to amend line 138 to read the motion passed by a vote of 6 to 5. Thank you.
Yep. I guess we still have a hole on line 164 then.
Yep, and it's very possible I just did not write that down.
Could we just,
My notes were literally just the vote and the warrant articles, so you don't need to read mine.
I think we can
I
approve
didn't have
these.
anything better.
What if we say we approve these and then we could just take our vote from the, whatever was on the ballot?
Yeah.
Danielle, you don't happen to have the school board, the ballot from
Not on
last year,
me.
do you? No?
Yeah. So, okay, so on line 164, I would recommend to change the recommended this appropriation by a blank blank vote to be reflective of whatever was on the ballot.
I'd second that.
Any other changes or adjustments? Is that a procedural no-no? You
Well,
look very
I'm going
concerned.
to abstain because I wasn't there, but I don't think you mean ballot, I think you mean election results.
Well, it would,
Oh, it was
as
on the ballot.
whatever
Right,
read,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
As
whatever read
it's
on the
written on the
ballot.
ballot was my thought.
I wouldn't be comfortable with blank blank.
Yeah.
That's all.
We can save these till
You can table
September.
them, you can definitely table them.
Okay, any other recommendations before we vote on whether we're gonna do this or not? Again, if it doesn't pass, then we can vote to table after.
Yeah. I would be
Vote to table.
comfortable just saying whatever, was written on the ballot on line 164.
I'd second that once again.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor of the Thursday, January 18th, 2024 minutes as amended with line 138 changing to the motion passed by a vote of 6 to 5, and line 164 being adjusted to reflect what was recorded on the ballot for voting. Entertain a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Motion by Michael Kelly, second by Jeff Morrison. All those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? 1, 2, 3, 4 abstentions. 5.
6.
6,
0,
5. Hockey reading.
I think we need to
Excellent.
do.
Do we have another set of
Yeah,
meeting minutes?
on
Yeah.
February 15th.
Yep.
I think this is when we met after the school deliberative session. To
Very
amend
different
our.
format.
Yeah.
Somebody must have handwritten this. Okay, so would the board like to read these minutes if they haven't had a chance to as of yet?
Yeah, we'll just take
So
a
we'll give
minute.
it a minute to read.
We need to put an E, Tom wasn't out of Tom, Tom
No.
was out of town.
Was out of town.
Maybe he was out of Tom, I don't know, but he was out of town too.
It says via speakerphone.
Yeah, just the
Just a typo.
Just a typo.
Oh.
Is there a Tom Kelly? Tom
No.
Kelly said he received an email.
Nope.
That's probably me, Michael Kelly.
Be Mike Kelly.
And Tom called for a vote?
Yes.
Yep.
He did. I
Yeah, that
remember
actually, that checks out.
Right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't we have Ellen's last name here, other than just Ellen?
We should actually have everybody's last names, so it shouldn't be first names technically in notes.
Hey, give the guy a break.
Or we can
and
say
roll him up.
Mr. or Ms., the last name, but we, either two names or just the last name with the title.
Yeah.
Anybody else volunteering to take minutes?
Yeah, fair.
Good
I
man,
don't get to
John,
take
good
pot
man.
shots at you now, John. When am I ever gonna be able to?
Oh, were these yours?
He was kind enough to do it for us.
What's Ellen's last name?
White.
White.
Thank you.
I do have the school elections.
Would you?
Oh, do you have it?
They're on the town website.
They are. It's true. Do you happen to have the number associated with that?
What question is it?
Warrant Article 18.
No.
18's the town.
Oh,
No. School,
That's it.
John?
School didn't have 18.
2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I don't
Oh,
even
wait.
understand that paragraph.
hold on, I don't think I read that clearly.
Vote on all of them at once?
No. Oh, I think that is just to describe how it was set up.
Oh.
I don't think that was actually a vote.
We're
I think we
reading the wording.
misunderstood. So actually, that is supposed to be blank because it doesn't actually mean anything. So that will stay as is.
Oh, it's very confusing.
Well, it's good that somebody finally read it. Whoops. Okay, we should be all good on that one now. Thank you anyway, John. I think we got there.
We approved them anyways.
We did, yes.
We did.
You just did first names because you didn't want to try to spell Butkevich right, didn't you? It was a first name.
Exactly. I didn't want to look it up. I know. That's why I said I didn't want to look it up.
Okay, so other than switching first names to Mr. or Ms. And last names, and then on the line in the middle of the fourth paragraph from Tom to town, are there any other recommended adjustments?
Do we need to read that for the secretary, the whole paragraph, or are we just gonna?
I will read the sentence where we're changing the word, and then I think beyond that, the names should be, oh, and then the Tom Kelly to Mike Kelly. So, okay, I'll read the two middle sentences of the last paragraph on page 1. There was also a discussion about voting over the phone where Tom was not able to attend in person because he was out of town. Mike Kelly, Mr. Kelly, said that he had received an email from Ms. White that he would be able to vote as long as he could hear everyone and everyone could hear him. And the Mr. Kellys, of course, will need to be Mr. M. Kelly and Mr. R. Kelly, since we have two Kellys.
Those are both, that's all me though. Mr. M. Kelly.
Yep,
Yep.
yep, those are all M. Kelly, yep. Any other recommended changes or suggestions?
This is picky, but the next sentence, Megan also said that the school board has also taken votes. One of those also is.
And that she should be.
Mrs. Sabasco.
Yep,
Right.
okay, so
Either of those also is to
Yep.
be taken out.
let's go with
First one?
Mrs. Sabasco said that the school board has also taken votes for absent members over the phone as long as they did a roll call vote.
Didn't Tom vote?
Yes.
Yeah, it's on the
phone,
next
on
page.
The next page.
Oh,
I would make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from February 15th as amended.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Charlotte Fife.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Abstaining?
1,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6, 0,
605.
5.
Excellent. Next item of business. Proposed calendar.
I can, so, do you want me to?
Yeah, go for it.
So this is something, I did this calendar, it's now Owen's calendar officially.
Yeah, I'm gonna assign it to you to correct that.
There are missing spots. I hadn't gotten a chance to talk to Ellen about when all the municipal official dates are, so I hadn't filled those in. The budget dates reflect last year's budget schedule. The only addition that I can think of off the top of my head was in November, we have a Tuesday, Thursday for town department heads. I thought last year we were here till almost midnight meeting with all the department heads from the town. So I thought it might be nice to switch that up. And we'll do 2 nights. Maybe we can pick who's going to come which night. What do you think, Jen? We get a thumbs up from the library.
Can I ask or maybe
Yeah.
make a suggestion around the department head presentations?
Yep.
My understanding is that all the department heads also meet with the Board of Selectmen and essentially give the same presentation.
I was gonna make the same
I
recommendation.
wonder if we could
John,
find
could you-
efficiency by making them joint
Could you
meetings.
speak to that, John, the department head meetings?
Yeah.
Okay,
What do you want to know? We have meetings with them to
Yes.
discuss the budget.
Yeah, but you.
yes, do they come in and do a full presentation to you on their proposed budget?
We could have a nice 8.5-er.
So, I mean, Trish, what happens is they're gonna present their budget to us. And then when they come in front of us, we review their budget with them.
Yeah.
And for suggestions on where we think could be changed or what needed to be changed. So after getting their interpretation and us taking our interpretation of it, we put it down on paper and present it to you.
Okay,
So
so
when
it's,
they're coming to you, they're really, all they're doing is presenting what they've already talked about with the Board of Select, to saying, this is where us and the Board of Select have come together. So it,
So, I mean, I'm struggling to understand a little bit what you're saying. Are you saying that it is a duplicative effort?
it kind of is, except for it's, they're coming here to explain to you so that you have the ability to ask them directly a question.
I don't,
But if-
know. Would it be?
But if this was gonna be the same meeting, right, the same, is that what we're talking here? Because
yes,
I would say if the boards go to you guys are gonna need to deliberate and make some decisions before it comes back to the
Exactly.
budget committee.
so it's not that we could, gain any efficiencies in the system by
I
combining
don't think
the
so. I mean,
meetings.
if these
I
guys
think
hear
that
the
was the
heads
question,
and then,
correct, Joe?
and they're gonna discuss it and figure out where everything lies and then
I'm
probably digest it a little bit and then
But
put it to
by the
us.
time that it comes to the budget committee, the select board and the department heads are aligned on what they're presenting to us, and that is the step that has to
Okay,
happen.
so some work has already been done.
Yeah.
My suggestion is only really pertaining to the department head presentations, so they're not giving the same presentation twice, which has kind of been my
No, they're not.
understanding.
They're not.
It's very different.
It's different.
It's very different because the initial question as to what exactly is going to happen happens before the select board. Then, when they come before us, they're answering our questions as to why all of this was agreed upon.
Yep.
And then we may make other decisions beyond that. But at least we know why they feel that this is, the things that they have just agreed upon are important.
I understand, and certainly my suggestion isn't that we have some kind of joint deliberation. It was purely for the department head.
I feel like it's worked out. It might be more efficient on one hand, but on the other hand, I like this process because there is a check and a balance. So at some point, the Board of Selectmen will hand us the budget and, we have a very healthy back and forth, like, what are your suggestions? Because it is hard to make those final cuts to get down to the number. And so us having time with all the department heads, we can kind of make adjustments and movements in that. So American government is ponderous, but
There's a lot of movement.
there's a lot of back and forth, so I really like it, and that is the budget committee's job, is to be that check and balance to the Board of Selectmen. So it kind of gives us similar information, but we have a different role with that information. So that's why I liked it that way.
For myself, I think the head presentations when they come in are packed full of information. I gain a lot of information during that session when they come and explain stuff. You can ask questions, and I
Because
find it.
when it comes to us really talking about the, going down by the lines, that information that we got when we talked to them, and we've gone down through the lines a bit, we've seen it a bit before they even come in. So we've got a thing like, why do you need a new parking lot in the library? And because the people are falling down and breaking their heads.
So Jillian, was your question answered?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Back to your point, though, on the splitting between the two, I do like that. I think that meeting feels long and is difficult at times to feel like you can ask as many questions as you want because it's getting late and people have been there a long time. So I do like the idea of the Tuesday, Thursday on that, and I would
agree with
support
that.
having this additional one Tuesday, Thursday week.
Yeah, and then I think there was one more Tuesday, Thursday.
Usually it's
When we do our, in January 14th and 16th, when we do the budget hearings.
hearings, yeah.
I think those are the only two.
Are we gonna have a spare day this year? Probably should.
Yes, so there is
I didn't see any.
January 21st, is that the snow?
21st is a Tuesday, which would be a
There it
snow
is.
day.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that, like I said, Owen hasn't gotten the dates from Mrs. White yet about,
I
really like
aren't
this.
you? I knew.
about, when we have to have all our work done. So this is just kind of an estimate at this point. But yeah, then we do have, so that Tuesday would be a flex day, and then there's an extra Thursday on January 30th as well, I believe.
So hopefully by September 5th, when we meet next, I'll have all of this ironed out and can present a new one with all of the RSA required deadlines and all of that we're just probably haven't come out yet from the Secretary of State.
So while we're on the topic of the schedule, I want to just throw out one thing, and I think Maureen, when she was talked about the frustration of a lot of people in the community over the budget, taxes and stuff like that. I think that there's an equal amount of frustration on the part of the department heads and trying to come to terms with, how they're going to manage their budgets. And I know the select board had some pretty heated discussions with like the police department and other departments about how they were gonna deal with the default budget. And I was wondering if it might make sense to give the department heads the opportunity to come to us now or in the next month or so to just share with us directly their concerns or ideas about dealing with their departmental budgets in terms of the default budget, where they think the risks are, where they think that they can make the compromises. And the two reasons for doing this, as I see it, is to kind of, as we work towards September, when we really start gearing up to start thinking about the next year's budget, we can understand where there might be red flags, would be one. And then the other is giving the department heads the reassurance that we really care about them and that we really want to understand what their thinking is. Give them that direct communications pipeline to us. So I know that would be adding a meeting earlier than September, but I think it could be beneficial to both the community and the department heads if we consider that.
I think it would be beneficial, but I would propose to actually put it closer to when we're working on the budget itself. And I think that would also give the department heads more time to have worked through the majority of this current budget. So I think they could tell us not just what they think the problems are going to be, but what the problems actually are. So I'm wondering actually if this split department head meeting that we're doing, now that we have a double meeting there, if maybe we ask the department heads for the first part of their budget presentation to be an explanation of how they managed and handled the reduction that they weren't planning on necessarily.
Yeah, I think.
From this year.
At least if we give them the opportunity to express, the risks and where they felt they had to make compromises. I think that would, again, give them the reassurance that we really do care. We're just not a committee sitting here saying, cut, cut, cut.
Yeah.
Right? and help us get a little more educated as we go into the process.
So to that end, are you saying that you think it would be more helpful for them to be separate than the regular presentations, or is it okay to be part of the regular presentation?
Personally, I mean, I'm interested in what other people think, but I personally would want it separate. Because I think earlier, just to kind of early on establish that bridge of communication with them. But I'm interested in what other people think of that.
I think typically when we hear the head presentations, that's the first 15 minutes of what they say every time. I mean, if you wanted to do it early on as a separate meeting, I could see that. September might be a little bit early, but I mean, when people come in to explain the budget and discuss it and stuff like that, the first thing they tell you is what they had to deal with last year, and so we get some of that, but it's just a thought.
We have more time to get more of that now that we have two Ds.
Yeah.
Because
If we have two on the
you're absolutely correct. The first person who comes up gets the best hearing. And then as the evening wears on, and it's nobody's fault, it just, the people, the department heads themselves don't want to say as much as they were going to say.
I like the double day idea because
I love the double day idea.
because you don't want people to feel like you're just ushering them through, and
Right.
they know that they have the time
God
to.
help the poor last person who stands up to speak, unless
Usually
it's
the
Fawn,
chief.
because she will.
Yeah, she does a good job, though.
She's all fired up today, ready to go. So, does the board want to, I guess just a consensus, I don't think we need a formal vote, but what sort of is the feeling on an additional meeting to hear how the current budget's going, as opposed to including that as a partial for the department head presentation, since we have it as a double meeting? Is there anybody who likes the idea of the second meeting? I know Donna has expressed it.
Yeah, and I'll just say it one different way, just once, is that I think that there is, and John can correct me,
Oh, I have something to say, Donna. Don't worry. I'm just waiting for you to finish.
but I just think that there's angst amongst the department heads. And if we give them the opportunity sooner rather than later to come to us and share their thoughts with us, that could go some distance in making them feel like they're heard.
Gotcha.
That-
Okay,
that
so
was
from
kinda
a
where
different
I was coming
perspective, not necessarily our efficiencies, it's, I
Exactly,
understand,
yeah.
I understand.
More of a communication.
Supportive and
And
Got it.
support.
collaborative.
Right.
John, you about ready to explode yet?
Looks like he's ready to go.
I don't feel that when the directors, chiefs, whatever, they all come in, and we have these two meetings here, that's the best time. I mean, you can ask them about their budget now, but it doesn't matter. I mean, again, doesn't matter, because it's good to make them understand where we're going for, but it's the select board's decision on what's gonna happen. So when they come to us, we are discussing with them what we feel their budget is. We're taking their concerns and we're putting it on paper for you. By you coming in here, and them coming in here and telling you what they think, you still don't have a choice. And again, this is not to sound bad, it's still the Board of Selectmen's choice for what we're going to present to this board.
I'm in agreement with
So
that.
you might end up being contradicting that they think that because of what they told you is what they're gonna be able to present to us.
There's two outlets.
That's fair. I
So
mean,
that's why, I don't know if that would, again, and then their time, obviously, is valuable for what they have to do. And again, I'm not trying to, trust me, I don't want more responsibility than I already have. I'm not asking for more responsibility than what I
You
already
don't want another meeting?
have. I'm at enough of them, so it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying that I think, I mean, to go over what their already skimped budget is now, because if we did all those cuts to go to the defaults, and we've cut a lot of things, I don't know where the gain would be by them coming in front of you to tell you what all the faults are happening.
well,
Because I don't think it's gonna, I mean, hey, guess what? We'd like to do a little more, but we don't have the money for it. We'd like to do a little more, but we don't have the money for it. We'd like to do a little more for what we're gonna money for it. It's the same presentation you're gonna get when they sit here after they meet with the Board of Select. Well, this is what they want, and this is where we cut last year, but we're trying to add to this. And we're gonna make those same decisions.
Yeah, so I do think at some point, maybe John, then the select board could share with us where you think the biggest risks are.
We learned a lot of risks last year. Things didn't work out as well as we were hoping to. You know, and, you know, but even when we say we lost, you know, again, we're not going on about the past, because the past is the past. But a lot of things that did fail, didn't fail by that much. I mean, it failed, and we went with it, but you go look at the road thing, Brian, you said, that only failed by like
30.
It wasn't that far off.
Yeah.
It's very tight.
It wasn't outstandingly done by
No, it wasn't a landslide.
700 to 200 or something like
right.
this.
Right.
Yep.
And we know that our problem last year was our communication. As much as everybody sits here, you can speak on this for the school, it's how you communicate with people. And I personally don't feel last year we did as well of a job as we could have in presenting what we were doing. And I think a lot of those close margin ones could have went the other way if we did a better job. And I'm taking blame for that because I sat on the board and I was there for not presenting as well as we could have to the community why these were important warrant articles and why did we feel that they should have passed. You know, so end of that story for that.
Appreciate the perspective. Anybody else?
I mean,
on
I
this
guess
idea?
my opinion was I don't want to put an extra burden on the department heads, making that they have to feel like they have to come to present. Maybe if it was a voluntary thing, maybe in like August when we're getting started, if they want to come and just give us an overview of how they're, you know, voluntarily, how they're doing, where they're at, what we should be thinking about as we get into September, October, November.
I think that's good.
And actually, to that end, one of the things I want to make sure, we've never really had a public comment section. I know we always kind of added it last year, but it's something I think that I would like to promote more of this year and try to get some better communications. And I'm thinking that especially on the first few meetings, the September and the October meetings, those are pretty light. So if there's department heads that are wanting to come before us, I think public comment might be a really good time for us to hear, you know, maybe just a quick summary of different things and different impacts that they have. But I think that's something I want to try to encourage more.
Yep.
Like we were talking about during the appointment questioning, you know, how do we get a better handle on the voters? Because this was a really confusing election. It was didn't feel like as clear of an answer to things as I would have thought. So I think hearing more from the public is going to help us better inform our opinions. Sound good?
That's good.
Excellent.
I like it.
Anything else on budget? Oh, schedule?
Calendar. I think that's as far as we can go with that
Okay,
now.
excellent. Thank you.
There are, sorry to jump in here.
Yep, what you got?
Also, calendar-wise, this
Okay.
is a memo from Ellen. She left it here for us.
Yes, so from Ellen White to Budget Committee, I would
Read it
like,
aloud, yeah.
I would like to schedule New Hampshire Municipal Association to come on site and do an on-demand training with the Budget Committee, specifically on the basic law of budgeting. This will be a good opportunity to discuss budgeting in an SB2 town, the tax cap, the default budget, as well as roles and responsibilities of a municipal budget committee. Please select 3 dates that work for the committee that do not include dates in the months of September or October. The training can start no earlier than 9:30 a.m. and no later than 7 p.m.
Does it have to be a weekday?
It's a good question. I would think yes. The only reason I would say that is NHMA are
Yeah,
a staff
I
of
assume it
people
is,
that work.
because they run all their workshops on weekdays.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every NHMA thing I've been to has been a weekday, so
Yeah.
I would imagine. I think this is really good. I think this will be really helpful, so I'm really glad that Ellen is suggesting it, especially as we tried to wrap our brain around the tax cap last year. I mean, we basically completely reconfigured what we were doing in the hopes that we were doing it right. So it will be very nice to talk to some experts that, you know, can help us understand a little better and maybe help focus us on the primary goals. So please select 3 dates. Right now, if we try to select 3 dates, I think between 11 people, we're going to be here for hours. So my recommendation would be I'll create an online poll and send it to everybody with 20 or so dates to pick from. And as long as we can get a couple of those dates in agreement with everybody, I think that that'll probably be the most efficient way to do this.
You think in August?
agree.
Or what? month
Yeah,
you
I was thinking like August, because she's saying not September or October, and our meetings start in September 5th, so I'm thinking I'll throw out a half dozen dates in August.
Do you know, does she say there how many hours she's talking about?
No, she does not.
Because that would determine like, because people work, I mean, I don't want to
Right.
get tired, but if it's like a 3-hour, maybe we can do 4 to 7 or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'll reach out to Ellen and get a little more detail on it before I propose it, because then I can actually give the correct, not just the start time, but the actual block. And she says it can start no later than 7 PM, but I mean, if it's a 4-hour thing or something, I really can't imagine they want to start at 7 PM.
No.
So I gotta talk to Ellen, maybe get a little more information. But does anybody have any like fundamental problem with August?
Sounds
I'll be on
good.
vacation first 2 weeks of August, so do whatever's good for everybody else.
Yeah,
I'm-
okay.
I
I will-
can still do it on, like,
I'll try to do more for the second half of August then. I'll aim for that. That's good to know.
yeah, I'm thinking Charlotte went to the class last year.
Did.
No.
I was saying, as a brand-new budget committee member, it's like, you could take it every year, really.
Yeah.
You know, it was-
There's a
it was
lot of information.
And, you know, that you could ask questions, but I almost didn't have any questions to ask at that point, you know.
Didn't have enough
And then
information.
I got a month in and went, oh, I have a million questions.
Okay, excellent. I will shoot for as much as I can. Ah, thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. We will get you on the email list. Ellen also created something today, some sort of
Yeah, I've seen that.
working group online. I got to figure out exactly what that is, how that works. I didn't pop it
So I was
open.
gonna ask about that, because it requires Microsoft Authenticator. And if you.
Oh, I didn't even dive
if
into
you-
it yet.
I did, and if you download Microsoft Authenticator, it tells you that you can have a 3-day, free trial, and then it's $39.99 a year after that.
Got it. So let me talk to Ellen about what she set up and see if there's some sort of town account or something we're supposed to be working under.
No, this is for, she set up like a share, Microsoft shared drive for the
I
committee.
think the idea would be to more centrally disseminate information. Right now, we just do everything through email blasts. And we have to be really careful about how we reply, because if you reply all, technically that's a meeting and you can't do that. But you're allowed to disseminate from the chair, the vice chair is allowed to disseminate to the board, or department heads can send information, just not have any sort of discussion. So it's been really kind of tricky for us to make sure we're always doing that just right. And I believe that Ellen's setting up some sort of a system to make it easier for us. That being said, obviously I need to talk to her a little more about exactly how it's set up and how it works, but
'cause we don't
I can
wanna
give
pay
her a
for it.
call. No, we're not everybody's paying for this to be on the board. It is not a pay to be on the board deal. Yeah, I'll reach out to Ellen sometime, probably next week, and get that figured out, and I'll send out something to everybody to let them know.
Thank you.
Anything else that she left
I
us?
think that's it for that. I think so.
Okay.
That should be committee assignments.
So next will be the committee assignments. We
no,
have
school.
facilities and CIP.
Yep.
Right? I believe last year, Jeff, you were on school facilities.
Yep.
And I think we had alternates as well last year, or seconds or something like that, if people couldn't attend. Bob, were you on CIP?
I was
Okay.
CIP.
He was CIP, I was facilities. I missed a couple meetings, sorry, Daniel.
And I think there was,
There
wasn't
was one for
somebody?
transportation, but we were in the contract already.
Yeah, so
So
there
we
was
didn't need
no,
anyone,
Okay.
right, for the school.
is the
For
school
the
doing
bus,
any
right?
contracts?
Para.
Para contracts? Can we have a representative?
Yeah, I
Jen?
believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be 3 then?
Yeah, so 2 at the school and then.
Facilities
I do have
Para
an interest in
contracts.
CIP.
and CIP, okay. Donna is interested in CIP.
Because I missed
Just
one.
need one, right?
Bob, are you still interested in CIP?
She can I work Tuesdays, so I can use extra sleep.
Excellent.
You're welcome.
It was nice, and I learned a lot, but, you know.
Not the easiest day for you to fit in your schedule.
Right. Like I
Gotcha.
said, I can use extra sleep.
Facility,
How many times did CIP meet last year?
Couple times. Yeah, we did a lot more than we have in the past, because like one meeting a year, we had a lot more than that. didn't we?
Right,
'Cause
like 5 or-
Charlotte showed up,
Yeah,
yeah, we
yeah.
had like 4 or 5. So yeah, Tim was trying to get it going.
Yeah.
No, okay,
It was a little livelier than it had
Yeah,
been, you know.
absolutely.
Needs to be
The last
just
couple
a
of years,
little
it
bit
looks
more,
like.
right, John?
there should be an average like 5 meetings. That's how it always
Yeah.
was in the past. The years before have lapsed a little, but we should get back. I just want to make sure that that's what you guys were still doing.
so Jeff, you're still interested in facilities, or
Yeah, if nobody else wants to do it.
The other thing about that too, that I think, I can't remember who it was, somebody, did you want to be a backup on one of them last year? Was that what it?
Could have been.
I could be totally making this up, I don't know. But the other thing is, I actually, maybe I just liked the idea in my head and I was going with it. But maybe having an alternate too. I don't think we necessarily need to limit it to one person. Anybody who's interested. And then those two people can also work together to make sure that every meeting is covered, because that's not always easy to make every meeting. And then you also have somebody on budget committee to bounce it back and forth with, I think, and other things like that. So that might also be.
I think it's a good idea, and I think it's also good to get new people involved.
Good point.
Thanks, yeah.
I was thinking about that just for that reason.
Circulating, yeah.
That's a good idea.
What is, it gives you that real
So,
perspective.
anybody else interested in the facilities committee, the school facilities?
When do they meet?
Typically alternates between a morning session and directly after school, because that's more conducive for the teachers.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
around 3 p.m.
And what
Days vary.
Yeah.
Days vary.
It's not set days.
Well, that's a tricky schedule, yeah.
It's month by month, and it just, the consensus of the room of who can make it.
I'll do that one. Interesting.
Oh, great.
I'll retract.
You want to be the alternate.
Sorry,
Nice
Jeff, you're not
try,
getting out
Sorry,
there.
Jeff, you.
I want to be an alternate.
We got two alternates, okay. But I think that would be good, and that's a pretty tough schedule to make if you got some standard working hours. So that would be helpful, I think, to have two of you,
Yeah,
then,
that's
if nothing else, then we can at least try to share coverages and everything, make sure we're there. That's great. Anybody else in CIP?
See, sure.
Yeah, I'd
She
be an
just-
alternate.
She just showed up
Yeah.
for the meeting, we
Yeah.
voted her in. You know,
That's how I make friends.
You just show up and hope they vote you in?
So there was actually 2 budget committee members on it
Yeah,
last year.
yeah.
Well, that's
Which is
pretty good.
fine.
Yeah.
Which I think is good.
Yeah, it's fine.
I like that, okay.
Oh, you're not? Why is that?
Because it's supposed to be a committee representative, and then there, at least the way it was originally set up, I think there were like two at-large people as well.
I was an at-large.
Yeah,
I
but you
wasn't
can't
officially.
be an
Oh, I
at-large
can't be
person
both?
when you're on a board.
Okay, so we're,
You can be an
That
alternate.
she's that way of making friends.
okay.
Okay, so for those at home,
We never, you know, it's funny you guys say that. There's never usually been that many people that want to
Yeah,
participate. so
Exactly.
seriously.
It's kind of like, thanks, John, for bringing it up, because I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I always remember I was trying to find people, so like,
now we got a glutton, yeah, no, but to the point,
I'm into doing it.
John pointed out that technically you're not supposed to have two sitting budget committee members, so we'll just have a primary and an alternate that can fill in when the primary's not there. If there's anything that requires votes or whatever, we'd only have one if there's legal standing to that extent, so. Okay, sorry, Jeff, I don't think you got out of primary, unless anybody else wants to volunteer for facilities.
I'll never make it.
Yeah, that's gonna be the tricky part, is I don't think I can make that schedule, that's rough. But, okay,
I make
appreciate.
most. It gets tricky sometimes.
That's pretty good, though. Nicely done, thank you. And then the para contract,
Fair contract. Do we know when that meets, Danielle?
No, it hasn't started yet at all.
okay, so would that be an official position, or is that just,
I don't know if that's I mean.
we get included in case we're interested, kind of a
I
thing?
don't know if this board gets a vote on anything that they're.
That's what I'm trying to ask.
Just,
I don't believe so.
Just
Okay.
Yeah,
You're
when I
just there
asked
for
about, it was only,
informative.
when I asked about, committees, the only one that was presented to me was, facilities,
Right.
so.
Okay.
But of course,
The
I'm
para
always,
contract.
more the merrier.
Okay, so we will try to keep, if you could keep us abreast of just at least the schedule of it, then if people are interested, then they'd be able to attend. That would be good. So that should cover committee assignments. Other business. Anybody have any old business, new business?
Charlotte,
The
did
board.
you, Charlotte had
Yeah,
something,
did
do you want
me
to,
to bring
Oh,
that
that's
in?
right, you emailed that today, sorry.
Yeah.
you want
Yeah.
to now or save it?
I mean, we can say that, my issue is just, I just wanted to clarify attendance requirements, if there were any, and about participating electronically or by speakerphone. And are we gonna have a set policy I mean.
Because that was a
bad
question last
idea, because
year.
it was a question, and I think it's probably not a bad idea to do that, but would there be a limit to that if someone never showed up and only was on, Zoom or speakerphone, or, we should give that a little thought,
Yeah.
I think. But a lot of us came here sick. I was one of them last year, because I didn't realize I could, participate
And
in other ways.
I wasn't allowed to participate in a couple of meetings because I was out with COVID.
Yes.
And then other people were allowed to do it, so.
So I think coming
Just
to a
so to-
consensus
yeah.
at our first meeting is
So we know.
probably
I
good.
remember watching it on
So-
TV and screaming at the TV, and none of you could hear me.
I could.
I swear I could hear Sandy somewhere. No. So let's plan maybe on the September 5th meeting. We'll discuss that. Unfortunately for everybody, because we have enough new members on the board, I'm going to bring up the exact same thing I did last year, which was the code of conduct and basic etiquette.
This, or is this something else?
That, it's actually very close to that. I'll disseminate what I disseminated last year, but I was reading through that today. There's the Riggins rules, which actually might be a better code of conduct than the one that I had found as an example. So that actually might be a good one for us to just kind of read through and have a good handle on. Because I think it would be good for us to define a few of the things. There's also the quirk of tie votes pass on this board, and that's always been the precedent. But I can tell you, I've never, ever heard of that on any other board ever. So that's a very unique thing to this board, and if we want to continue that, I have absolutely no problem with that, but I think we want to actually sort of codify it. If that's going to be the rule, because that is very different than sort of a standard Robert's Rules approach and how every other committee I've ever been on has operated. Not a big deal one way or the other, I just think these are good things for us to lay out. So my thought would be for that first September, that's a good thing to try to kind of get all of our rules, guidelines, expectations, and all of that laid out for that. That makes sense.
There is also on the website, there's a code of conduct document for the select board. That's on the website, so that would be a good thing to take
That would be a
look
good
at
reference
well.
as well, yes. Because I think when we were asking Ellen about this last year, she said it was only the select board was the only board that had a code of conduct, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we adopted it.
because you're so wild.
Yeah.
I do have one other piece of business, if
Yes.
that's okay. So, John, I would just like to hear, like, from the select board perspective, now that you guys have gone through the process and, come up with the numbers that you needed to meet for the default budget, what's the select board's thinking in terms of where do you feel there is the most risk? Like, I know you guys had to make a lot of decisions, that impacted, like, road maintenance and,
Risk,
equipment.
so risk as towards what risk? Like, risk as for, yeah, I mean, there's,
Liability?
yeah.
Where are you most uncomfortable with with the cuts that you had to make?
Leave those behind for the next meeting. Excellent, good to
I don't know, there's a lot of places also comfortable when you're going through the whole budget, in there. I mean, we made it work because we had to make it work, that was on there, and everything got little cuts. I mean, one of the things that was, again, is the highway department, as now we're fully staffed there, we've got the 4 employees that we haven't had in 5 years.
Yeah.
We have, a good director that's in place there. Limiting towards what they can do when we're fully staffed is probably the most detrimental piece of town activity that you're gonna find. Where there's projects which we could be doing, fixing in roads and stuff like this, that we're just not going to. I mean, we're gonna keep them busy. We're gonna grade roads, and we're gonna still do stuff like this, but, there are aspects there which is going to be, not neglected, just the money's not there. To expand different projects that, that they wanted to have. They'll work around it, they're gonna do the best as they can, but that was probably the hardest part, is they took it, and then the worrisome is, with future budgeting is Courtney's position in the rec. The rec is a very, very important part of this town and what people are using it the amount of people that use the rec, and the people that we have running the rec right now, I think we should, if you don't know, we are so fortunate to have them and their commitment to what they do. And I mean, for how they run the after-school program, the summer program. The summer program sells out. Like, they don't have enough people to, I mean, there's more people who want to be in the program than they can actually do. That's just sort of credit to how well they do, into where we have to restrain them from doing even better things because it's just not there. You know, and that's probably another part of the budget where it's, you know, you'd hate to say no because you want to offer these activities, but, you know, it's not there,
So for rec,
you know?
for rec, the salary line was reduced. Was that because you moved them? Was that because
Salary
of?
line was, the salary line was we were making the assistants as a full-time position and not using rec revolving funds in order to pay her position.
Okay.
So when we defaulted, we had to go back to doing it, which doesn't give our assistant director the vote of confidence, you know, of knowing that you're a salary position and that you're set and that you're totally relying on, you know, I mean, obviously, there's no problem with people signing up for things because
Yeah.
they're booking out great for it.
Yeah,
But, you know, I mean, that was one of the reasons, the thought behind it, that we should have had her as a line item salary, which
Right.
we had to go back and turn.
yeah,
You know, and then there were some things on there that we talked that they're gonna have to cut too. You know, we left the discretion to, a lot of the department heads on ways that they can, on their daily operations, be mindful of everything that they spend. You know,
Yeah.
if you see that this particular item, you know, can you get it done a little bit differently this year than how you did it last year? And I think that's where it's the hard part, is when you talk about department heads, and again, I don't wanna keep you guys with all this stuff, because it'd go on forever, but, you know, we ask a lot of them, to do their job with a very limited budget of what they have to do. And sometimes it's not fair, because you, even doing your job, if somebody said, well, you can only use your computer 4 hours of the day and you can't use it 8, and you're like, well, I really need my computer, but you have to make it work. I mean, that's kind of, you know, and that's the way the voters voted, and we're gonna do the best we can. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just, you know, everybody wishes they had more money.
yeah, for sure.
But it is what it is. But that, I think those are probably the two, if you wanna see the biggest points, is where next year I think we need to really stress more on. I think our police department's fine. You know, fire's doing well, there's stuff in their budget for employees, you know, and that's going on there. I don't think they're gonna have a problem there. I think it's more of just the infrastructure parts of the town, you know, like our recycling center, but I ain't gonna go into that, that's a whole nother story.
Let's not go into that.
Yeah. What about like, so I know under like the buildings, like the maintenance lines were kind of trimmed. Is that gonna have any impact given the state of?
No, because the town was nice enough to vote in all the money for the repairs.
Okay, all right.
So we're
good.
gonna decipher with that money as much as we can, to every which way we can, in order to make it,
Great.
to get as much done, in order to, we do not wanna go back to the old Nottingham way of Band-Aiding, projects and just doing the bare minimum to keep them going.
Good.
Cause obviously that put us into the position that we're in now, where we had to put warrant articles ahead like this for us to fix problems that if they were fixed properly 10, 15 years ago when the problem occurred, and not just,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be into the financial situation that we had to, and the
Yeah.
cost effective to do what we need to do, so.
And then with the highway department, I think there was the idea that some of the projects would be covered by the highway block grants.
Some.
Yeah, and what was the amount, what's the total
I
amount?
don't know off the top of my
those?
head.
Wasn't some carried over from?
Okay.
No, that was the 130,000 that was carried over from the initial, 400,000 that we put in. No, that's, ARPA's a whole different thing. So
Block
that's,
grant was
Was it
146,
that much?
or
Okay.
something like that is
Okay.
ringing a bell in my head this
the
year.
$130,000 left over is from what, the $500,000 warrant article we put in. The last year's warrant article was 400-some thousand. We didn't finish all the projects, so it was 130,000 that was left over from that last year's warrant article.
Yeah.
And that's what we're spending this year to finish the projects we should have finished, and that's where it comes
They were
from.
just
But we don't
delayed.
have any of the 500,000 we needed for the new projects. that was supposed to
But the highway block grant is separate.
Block grant is established by the state based
Yeah.
on an equation. If you just Google block grant for
Yeah,
this
yeah.
year,
Yeah,
it's
I
right
just
in the
looked
list.
at it, but
It was just over 100, I want to say. I was looking at it not too long ago.
Okay.
And we have refunded Alan Trant's job.
We have funded his job. Yep. That was part of the warrant article that passed, not last year, the year before, so,
And that was encumbered before the end of the year, okay.
Any other new business?
Just a note on rec. When we say that rec is terribly underfunded,
I'm not saying it's underfunded.
okay, well, I feel like there was that sentiment. The main driver in that is the salary. The salary was gonna be reimbursed, or the salary that came in was gonna come out of rec revolving. So either way, that salary, because it was gonna be counted as income to the town, so either way, that salary was gonna come out of the rec revolving fund, whether it was drawn from the proposed. If anybody's, I'm online, if you go to,
Which I think is an excellent discussion for next
I just
budget.
want to make this before everybody screams at us on Facebook, okay? Just one, it'll take 2 minutes.
Who's screaming on Facebook?
Oh my goodness. I don't pay attention, but somebody sent me a couple screenshots. So anyway, here we go. So the salary was there anyway. Rec got an extra $10,000 in mowing and maintenance. And then on the next page, there was a $1,000 deduction in programming, but remember, they have a surplus of $10,000 in mowing and maintenance. And then there was another surplus of $300 into the equipment. This is moving from the proposed budget that failed to the default budget. So when we say rec got, enter your word, it really doesn't play out on the budget sheets here, so.
So
Anyway,
I would
that's all I
say
wanted
there's
to
a
add.
lot of different personal opinions on it, and we can get into those once we get to the budget cycle.
And
But
can we move on to adjourning?
Sticking in the
is
numbers.
there any new business?
I just got one thing, please. Can I be excused for October 3rd? I'll be out of town.
So here's a good one, just so everybody's on, excused versus unexcused absences. So I'll make a quick note on this one just before we head out the door, so people know in case it's the next meeting, that somebody can't make. It is an excused absence if you contact the chair and the vice chair and they excuse you from the meeting. Excused absences do not count against you in terms of the law. The law is about 3 consecutive unexcused absences.
Executive.
Yep.
That is what the law says, that it makes you get removed from the board.
Or you can be voted off.
Or you can be voted off, not automatically
It's
removed.
still always up to the board.
Yes, correct. That is correct. Thank you for correcting me. So if there's 3 unexcused absences, however, if you email the chair and the vice chair in advance and say you can't make it.
Both of you?
That's what I'm saying, both of you, because it
Or-
was just a chair, I thought, last.
The chair makes the call. The only reason I would say email both is in case the chair is also going to be absent from that meeting. Technically, it would be the vice chair would have to excuse you.
So.
But if the chair's gonna be
someone
absent,
email both.
do they have to email all of us?
I'm out!
Just one question about that, though. I didn't, and, let me know what the RSA is so I can look at it, because
I'll look
I
at
did
it.
not think that you could remove somebody from a board because they're an elected official.
No, RSA.
You can?
Yeah.
I can't remember what the RSA is, but
It's
it's,
3 unexcused absences.
Yeah.
Like Owen said, it's 30.
It's in a row too, it's consecutive.
Right.
Okay,
it's in 32 somewhere.
okay, all right, thank you.
But I'll highlight that one for the next one, just to make the clear. But if you are not planning on making a meeting, and Bob, now you've told us, so thank you, that will be an excused absence. But if you're not planning on making the meeting, you can either tell us at the meeting if you're comfortable, or if it's, last minute, sick, whatever, you just can't make it, something happened, car blew up, just email Mike and I, and,
Carmelo's probably not gonna email you.
probably don't email me, actually, at that point. Maybe take care of yourself in the blown-up car. But just email us, we'll be good to go, and it'll be in for the record. And I'm actually going to start, I think, at the beginning of meetings, noting the people who are excused and unexcused absences, just for the
That's a
record.
good idea.
Probably
That's a good idea.
just be cleaner for the record, so it's not a question going forward.
You don't have to give a reason.
Nope, you just say it's either excused or unexcused. You do not have to provide a reason. Anything else?
Could the budget documents that you all have be attached to your agendas and attached when they're put on the website so that the public can follow you when you're talking about line number such and such?
I will, to repeat the question.
Oh, you're gonna repeat.
Yep,
I was
sorry.
gonna repeat.
To repeat the question, it was, can all of the documents that are provided to the Budget Committee at our meetings be added to the agenda online when it's published, so that everybody at home can also follow along. I will double check with the town administrator to see if that is feasibility. I would imagine it is. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Obviously, this is all public record. It might just be a, practicality or a timing kind of issue or something like that, but I'll
Could be
definitely
PDF,
ask the
they just
question.
have to download.
Could be. I'll just have to ask the question and see what's feasible on our end from a technical standpoint.
Yeah. 'Cause sometimes we get them right, like hot off the press at the
There's also
meeting, so
stuff
it
we
might
get
not
day
always
of, too.
work out.
Excellent. Anything else?
Leave the folders.
Charlie was wondering on the 6:30.
Thanks a
We're
lot.
wondering if we can have less paperwork.
Less paper, more digital?
I don't know. It was
Our
a
backs are
lot.
killing us. Getting all-
Heavy carrying all it around?
I do like the paper hug, but not every single.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Leave your
Oh, so
folders.
moved.
Moved by Sandy,
Second.
second by Donna. All in favor?
Aye.
9:10, meeting is adjourned. Everybody,
Please leave your green folders on the
Yes.
table.
green
Thank you.
folder. They're gonna fill it for us every meeting.
I like that.
So please leave the green folder.
Yeah.
I like that.
Cards go, actually, we can just leave the cards too. Because those get put away, but I don't want to screw up somebody's system.
Regular attendance?